Hi, this is Dreamcast Enjoyer, and you're listening to the SEGA Lounge.
Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, where we celebrate our love for all things SEGA, including the games, the music, and the community. I'm your host, KC. Join me as I talk to different guests and learn more about their projects and passion for SEGA. Hello and welcome to the SEGA Lounge, a podcast that is all about SEGA in all its forms, the music, the games, the community, and all things in between. This is episode 263. And this is a very special episode because, as always, I'm not alone. I'm never alone, but I have a very special guest with me this week. Joining me for a very special interview is a person who enjoys a certain SEGA console very much. It's the Dreamcast Enjoyer. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. AKA Dom.
Yeah, happy to be Dom.
It's okay. But you're the Dreamcast Enjoyer, right?
Yeah.
The one. So Dom, thank you very much for joining me for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
People who have been paying attention have already seen you on this show a few weeks back for the Jet Set Radio 25th Anniversary Special. Thank you very much for joining me for that as well.
I really like being part of it. It was a great episode.
It was really fun thing to do, by the way. But back then, we actually talked about that. We needed to do a show, an episode focused on you, not on Jet Set Radio. Oh, that crap. No. You, Dreamcast Enjoyer. Because you have a very cool project that we're going to talk about, a YouTube channel, and we're going to talk about that. But the way we do things here on the SEGA Lounge when we have someone new is we want to start from the very beginning. So my first question for you is, how did it all start for you in terms of your love for video games? How did you get into video games? And was it SEGA all the time, all the way, or did you start with something else?
Yeah, it was Sega all the time. So my very first memory of playing any video game was being 3 years old, and at that age, you don't really know anything. So I had no idea what a video game was, what a console was, any of this sort of thing. And my dad one day brought home a Sega Mega Drive with Sonic the Hedgehog, presumably for himself, but for me to play as well. And I just remember playing on that, and from that moment on, so the first thing I'd ever seen on a screen as a video game was Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. So that kind of became ingrained for me as what a video game was. So we had the Mega Drive, we went then into the Saturn, into the Dreamcast. So kind of followed that lineage of Sega through the. I think I also had a Game Gear. So yeah, so through the 90s and into the 2000s, all Sega. I never bought into this console war nonsense, so I enjoyed Nintendo stuff. I enjoyed Sony stuff like PlayStation and that. I had a PlayStation, but if you'd have put a gun to my head and said, who's your favorite, video game company, it would have been Sega, because that's just the stuff I played the most. So yeah, very clear memory of my dad bringing this thing home. And I remember because we played the first level, and if you remember playing the original Sonic the Hedgehog, the momentum wasn't very good. You couldn't do any boost dashing or anything at that point. And I remember we fell down this pit, and we were struggling to get up this ramp. The momentum kept falling back down. And I remember my dad saying, this stuck with me because it's very quaint, but at the time it made sense. He said, oh, maybe that's all there is. It's so good. Maybe that's all they could make. Maybe that's just the end of the game. Because at that time it seemed so amazing. We were like, oh yeah, maybe it's good enough as it is. And we were only on the second level or something. We were like, maybe that's it. Okay. Obviously we went on to beat the game. But the point of me telling that story is we were very blown away and very encapsulated by kind of what Sega were putting out even back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know why exactly your dad went with the Mega Drive and Sonic the Hedgehog? specifically? Any idea?
So I'm not really sure. Never actually asked him. But my dad was one of these guys that he kind of kept up with the trends. Makes him sound superficial. He wasn't like that, but he would read like kind of techie magazines or game magazines and things, and just kind of. So I guess it's probably something that he'd been reading about, and he'd been like, "I've got to get this when it drops," But that presumably would have been when I was 1 or 2 years old, so I don't know anything about it. I remember him making a really, really big deal when the Dreamcast was coming out because he'd seen the trailers for Soul Calibur, and I remember him like getting magazines and going, look at this one, it's going to come out." Because we'd played Soul Blade on the PlayStation, and we both really loved that game. And we were like, "Oh, Siegfried's going to be back in Mitsurugi," but now they look, a million times better, and we were really hyped for that. So, yeah, my dad was always the guy getting like the game magazines and getting really hyped up. So that was probably why he did that.
Okay,
probably why he got
fun.
a Mega Drive.
That's really cool. Really cool. I never had that experience because my dad was not a techie, was not really into video games. I do have fond memories of playing 1 or 2 specific games with him. I do remember trying to get him to play Sonic the Hedgehog, probably 2 with me. And I remember laughing because he was like, he controlled the game with his whole body. So when Sonic was moving forward to the right, like, and like
it's in motion controls before they were invented.
Yeah. Motion controls were a thing in his head at the time. So I laughed a lot about that. I remember playing a tennis game on the Mega Drive called ATP Tour. ATP Tour Championship. I can't remember the full title, but it's like based on the ATP Tour, tennis ATP Tour. And we played that game a lot together. That's like the most video gamey, the most gamery he ever got. Played maybe the original Streets of Rage a little bit and stuff, but that's fun that you got to share that experience of gaming with your dad growing up. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I just to give you a heads up, that's probably that'll come up again because a lot of my taste, people that follow my channel know I kind of have a really weird, obscure taste of video games. He pretty much shaped that because he would just come home and be like, "Look at this, I got this game, Blue Stinger. Look at this, I got this game, Extermination on the PS2." All these like crazy, like kind of B-tier games that most people have forgotten about, and we love them. So
okay, that's fun. Really cool. Okay, and so you went from the Mega Drive to the Saturn.
That's right. Yeah.
Got a Game Gear as well, Dreamcast. All of this experience with games and specifically Sega games, can you do you already have in your head a clear top 3 games of all time?
Ooh, that's very difficult. Top 3 specifically Sega?
I don't know,
or
top 3, top 5, whatever. Even if it's not Sega. Video games in general.
Gosh.
Or even if it's not a top 5 or 3, without any specific order, games that you think are like in your top.
Okay. So I would definitely say Blue Stinger for the Dreamcast. We'll do some Dreamcast ones up top. So Blue Stinger, Toy Commander, and it seems predictable, but we'll say Sonic Adventure because it has really stuck with me. And then like slightly more obscure, I'll go Saturn, and I'm going to say Bulk Slash. And I only played that in the last few years because of that translation patch. But it was amazing, and I can't imagine how much I would have loved that if I'd have played it when it came out in 95. That really sticks with me as just a game that I fire up whenever I'm in the mood to play Armored Core, Gunstar Heroes, and Mega Man Legends all at once, because that's basically what Bulk Slash is. Let's do one more game. Probably the very original Phantasy Star on the Master System. And again, I never had a Master System when I was a kid. That's something I got when I got older for like really cheap in high school because my mate was just shucking consoles out and had one in his attic. And I was like, I'll play that. So I remember playing the original Phantasy Star, and I wasn't a very big RPG player back then, so that was probably the first one where I was like, ooh, I actually really like. It was the art style that got me, the very cool kind of minimalist sci-fi aesthetic of that game just really resonated with me. So yeah, I mean, ask me on any other day and I might have a different 5 for you, but I feel like Blue Stinger, Toy Commander, and Sonic Adventure would always be in there.
Okay. Yeah. I think it changes for me as well.
Yeah.
Even within the same franchise, like another day, another top 5 or 10 or whatever. So I know how that goes. I remember watching a video of yours focusing on the PS2, the Sega Ages remake of Phantasy Star, and I think you mentioned Phantasy Star is your favorite RPG of all time.
Oh yeah, I do say that in that video. Yeah. So there you go.
So that's
not breaking news.
High praise. Yeah. And it's thanks to you. I don't think I knew about the translation patch for that specific version. So
yeah, I don't feel like it got massively pushed, or if it did, I missed it. And I saw somebody like Fantasy Star Cave or somebody post about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, I had to check it out. But yeah, it's a really good remake. Based on some of the comments on that video, some people didn't like the way the art style changed because they say it looked like a mobile phone game. I disagree with that. I don't. It's clearly a budget title. It was in a budget range, but I think for what it is to update that, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I think it looks good. I think it looks.
I like it. I like the way it looks.
I don't see the problem with it. So yeah. Did you play the Sega Ages version, like the Sega Ages on the Switch, the Sega Phantasy Star version on the Switch?
Oh, I didn't know they'd put it. No, I was playing it on the PS2. I did not know.
Okay, no. So it's the original one. It's not this version, not the PS2 version. It's so they did a Sega Ages line for Switch.
Okay.
They released several games that we have already, but they just in some cases added some quality of life improvements, like Phantasy Star, for example. And then do you remember the 3DS line of 3D classics? Do you know about those?
I remember them. I don't think I ever played them. I do still have my 3DS, but I don't think I have any Sega games for it, to my shame, my 3DS.
But they did some for that line of, like, they call it the Sega 3D Classics. And then what they did for the Switch, they took some of those, removed the 3D basically, and just released them as Sega Ages, because they were very, very good ports. Very, very good ports with great quality of life improvements. Phantasy Star, I think, is one of those standout titles for the Sega Ages Switch lineup, I think.
Yeah.
And the other one, probably my favorite, Virtua Racing, which got a very, very good port for the Switch. You can play it like with friends, and it's very, very cool game.
I might have to give that a look, because I do have a Switch and I didn't even know about it. Usually if I'm buying a Sega game on a modern console, it'll be a modern one. Like I think the last one I bought was the Shadow Generations game, and I got that on PS5. So it's funny, I have a Switch and my wife has a PS5, but we obviously just both use them because we both live in the same house. But I was always like, I don't think I need a PS5. I don't need anything that powerful, and everything I play can be handled by the Switch. And I can't remember what it was. My wife she loves graphics. She's always like the best graphics, and we don't have a good high graphic computer. So some game or other came out, and she was like, no, I've got to get a PS5 to play this. So I then piggybacked on it and decided I would share in it. But yeah, so if I'm getting any modern Sega stuff, it generally goes on the PS5. So I didn't know about the Sega Ages thing on the Switch now.
Yeah. So it's that's only for the Switch. So, and it's not really that demanding. It's just like they're ports of older games. So yeah. But it's a very cool lineup. Yeah, I definitely recommend. And they're usually on sale. Like, I think I actually was missing 1 or 2 titles from that whole lineup, and I think last week when we were recording this, I got those 2 because they were on sale, like for like €2, like probably like £1.99, £1.99 or something, whatever it is, the
I could
equivalent.
probably stretch to that. Times are hard in the economy, but I can probably scrape together $1.99 for a portable version of Phantasy Star.
They're very usually very frequently on sale. So that's even if you don't want to pay full price, whatever it is, the full price. I can actually check, but whatever it is, they're usually very cheap. But when they're on sale, they're even cheaper. So you can get on that. Yeah, and Phantasy Star has got some really cool quality of life improvements. So do check it out if you're a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, tangent over. And maybe we just sold some more digital copies of Sega Ages Phantasy Star. You're welcome, Sega. So yeah, obviously Dreamcast, very big for you. Why? Let's start with that.
Why
not? But yeah.
Yeah, it just came out at a really, really happy time in my life. So I got it the first Christmas when it came out. So that would have been 98 or 99 in the
99.
I should know that
over here. 99,
yes,
yeah.
99. Yes, correct. And I remember I got with it Sonic Adventure, Blue Stinger, and Soul Calibur, and then I got no. Yes, that's right. And then Toy Commander at some other point, all around the same time between my birthday, which was the September of that year, and the Christmas that year. It was a good year for me.
Okay.
I just remember it being a really happy time in my life. I would have been 10 years old, 10, 11, depending on what side of my birthday we were on. It was a really nice Christmas. I got the Dreamcast and some games, and it was just me, my mum, my dad had just a really good Christmas morning. Unwrapping it, firing up. We played Sonic Adventure all day, me and my dad. I remember it being weird because it was a very sunny Christmas, but it had snowed. So the snow had settled and it was sunny in the sky. And me and my dad went up and down the street posting Christmas cards. But we'd been playing Sonic Adventure all morning. And we were like, okay, we're going to post these Christmas cards and then we're going to come back and make Christmas dinner. So we'd just done Emerald Coast, which is kind of, so I just, for the first time ever, seen the big killer whale chasing Sonic and that very iconic scene. So I was really buzzing, and I'd probably been drinking lots of cans of Coke as well, which some things never change because I still am. And then just walking around posting all these Christmas cards, I just felt like a very wholesome day, very, really good time. And then that weird time between Christmas and New Year where there's no work or school or anything and no one really knows what day it is. We played a lot of Blue Stinger. I'd never seen a game like that before. It was crazy to me. And just, it obviously struck me as something very special at the time. But it was more when I got older, when I went to college and uni, when we started to get into the 7th gen, so PS3, Xbox 360. That's not a generation of video games that really resonated with me very much. And that's the first time I'd kind of been disappointed with a console launch. Because I loved everything in the 6th gen. I loved Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Xbox. I loved all of that. So when the 7th gen came out, I was a bit like, oh. And then I started to get a bit whimsical for the good old days. And then the Dreamcast was just the one that really stuck out to me. Although I love all those consoles, that was the one that really, I was like, I just need to get the Dreamcast back out of the attic, don't I, and start playing that again. So that's what happened.
Nice, yeah. Is it? I think you're right. We associate these things, games, consoles, whatever it is, with specific times in our lives, right? Yeah. I like that you mentioned like a specific memory, like a picture in your head of what the day was like, what the weather was like. I do have some specific memories of playing games in certain specific times of day, times of year and stuff. So I do, that resonates with me a lot.
Absolutely. And
I have a very specific memory that I think I've mentioned many times on this show, which is playing Sonic 3 Marble Garden Zone on a wintry sunny day. And the sun was hitting my face as I was looking at the TV. It was warming me. And the music and all of that, that's a very specific image that I still have. And like the smells and whatever, that got stuck in my head, yeah. for sure.
Absolutely, and that's such a good soundtrack on Marble Garden Tone as well. So
Yep, yep.
I was just going to say, if my wife listens to this, I have equally as fond a memory of my wedding day. You know, I'm not trying to say that the Dreamcast was the best day of my life.
Yeah. No. The second best day of your life, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. Very close, but not, I mean, not even close. Not even close. Uh, but it's nice that you have a gamer wife. I don't. My wife
Yeah.
doesn't really understand this, so yeah. So that's nice. You can share
She
that.
has very different tastes to me, so we do come together and play some things. So any kind of new current gen stuff, like she really likes Last of Us. She likes the Resident Evil remakes, but she won't play the originals because she says they look like a potato. Even though
Yeah.
I love whipping out Resident Evil 2 and 3 on the Dreamcast, and she's like, "Why would you play that when we've got the remakes on the PS5?" And I'm like, they've got a vibe to them. I like the atmosphere. So she doesn't get my love of like retro stuff, but we do still play a lot of modern stuff together.
Okay. Have you ever gotten her to play any Dreamcast games with you?
Yes, but I can't say she's ever enjoyed any of them. So occasionally, if you see two-player footage in my videos, it'll be my wife being player two because I've coerced her into doing it. So I think, off the top of my head, Power Stone, she didn't like it. Soul Calibur, she didn't like it. The Dolphin Blue, Thomas Wave Port, again, she wasn't a fan. but she is kind enough to sit down with me for an hour. And I'm like, I just want to get some two-player footage for the video. She's like, okay.
Yeah. That's true love right there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Playing a game with you, even if they don't like it. Yeah, that's true love. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And so going back to your love for Dreamcast, your enjoyment of Dreamcast, how and why did you decide to start this channel? What was the goal?
So it's a slightly gloomy note, but obviously it comes out as something positive. I lost my dad a few years ago, and obviously it's very, very close to him. It's very, 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 very sad. But still, obviously, got my mum, who I love very much. But the thing that kind of I thought a lot about during those days when I was kind of grieving was like all the happy memories we had together. And we did lots of other things that weren't video games. So my dad was a jiu-jitsu instructor, so we trained jiu-jitsu together, and we used to go on nature walks and bike rides and all this kind of stuff. But like one thing I kept coming back to was like, bloody hell, my dad had some really good taste in games, and he got me into some really good games. And I kind of started thinking about all these Dreamcast games he'd got me into. So like Sword of the Berserk, my dad loved that one, Mac and X, Blue Stinger, all of these. You could start to see where my love of like weird B-tier obscure games come from. And I thought I'd been watching some, like I like listening to gaming podcasts, and I like watching game kind of content on YouTube, and the stuff that I tend to gravitate towards is like Thor High Heels or like Matt McMuscles, so people who kind of spotlight maybe lesser known games and talk about the virtues of them. And I was like, I bet you I could do a channel like that all about the Dreamcast. So that's what I decided to do. And my first video on the channel is this very, very amateurish. I actually did it on my lunch break at work. It was during COVID times. I was working from home, doing a very miserable call center job because I was between proper jobs, like my last proper job. They had to let people go because of COVID. So I was like doing this really soul crushing call center job. I'm in a better job now. But it was a really miserable day. And I remember my mum was on holiday. I was around my mum's house babysitting the cat, making sure the cat was fed and stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to sit down and say some stuff about the Dreamcast. This really crappy headset mic. And just whatever video editing software comes with the computer, that Clipchamp, because I still use that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to talk. So I just kind of sat down, I jotted some notes down, put this crappy mic on, and just talked, and then captured some footage in an emulator because I didn't have a capture card at the time. So I didn't know anything about emulation. This was like, how am I going to get the footage onto the thing. So I've got this like really badly emulated footage, this really crappy kind of quality of me talking. But that video got like, I don't know how many thousand views, like about 60,000 views or something. It's called the Dreamcast Aesthetic, and I was like, okay, people do seem to like it. This is it. Yeah, people do seem to like it then, and so yeah, I decided to carry on with it. But yeah, that's kind of where it stemmed from. But yeah, you can see the various footage of games that I like here. I've just seen Blue Stinger, Shenmue, Toy Commanders here.
Yeah, great. And it's less about the perceived quality of. Sometimes we perceive quality differently. We think, oh, this is a really crappy episode. I do that sometimes. Oh, this was a really bad episode of the show, and then that's the most popular one. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
don't know.
In terms of like what I stand by, what I say in the video, like I don't think my opinions are bad or anything. I just I know a little bit more about how to produce sound and capture kind of better footage now.
Obviously,
I'm still not exactly a pro, but I've learned things from talking to people like Pizza Hotline. Pizza Hotline specifically taught me how to like make my voice sound half decent through a microphone. And then other members of the community have helped me do other stuff. So recently I've had help from like Bo Bales, Vincent Anel, Derek Pascalarella. These guys have all helped me to do some like reverse engineering stuff to kind of like get the hood out of video games, or to like hide a character or change the camera angle for this virtual tour stuff that I'm doing at the minute. So the stuff I'm doing now is more techie than what I was doing then, but it's only thanks to knowing good people in the community. And so yeah, I think we have a really good kind of Sega community, and I don't think I'd have been able to get the channel going without that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, right? Like the community getting together and people helping each other. Yeah, you mentioned some people who have been on the show before. Great guys.
I thought Bo's episode recently, it was very good. I really enjoyed it.
Great guy as well. Yeah, really enjoyed having him on the show. Yeah, very good. So the Dreamcast Aesthetic, that's how it all started. Right. Okay. So the goal here was just to first of all, is judging by the title, like the name of the channel, Dreamcast Enjoyer, was just to showcase your enjoyment, your love for the Dreamcast, right? But as you said, also like highlighting some more obscure titles that people may not know about, right?
Yeah, I think that's almost like a byline thing that just happens when you talk to me, because if you talk to me about video games, I'm going to tell you about some obscure Japanese game from 1996 that you've never heard of, rather than just talking about something normal, because that's just the way I am. So I think it was just like, oh, I'll make a Dreamcast channel, and it just kind of turned into this like weird thing where I talk about janky beta games, just because that's just where my interests lie.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I have to say we need to talk about Blue Stinger, right?
Absolutely.
I remember when you came on the show last time, we were talking about Jet Set Radio. You somehow managed to squeeze Blue Stinger in the conversation a couple of times. I remember
Casey,
that.
I will squeeze it into any conversation I can with my wife, with my work colleagues who are like, what even is a Dreamcast? I will bring it up wherever I can.
What even is a Blue Stinger? Is that some kind of insect? I don't know. So what's the deal with Blue Stinger? What's the deal with Blue Stinger?
Doing a Seinfeld bit.
Yeah.
The deal with it for me, and I didn't necessarily think about it at the first time I played it. I was like, oh, this is a really good game. It's more something that I've thought about in retrospect, because I think sometimes when you play something really special, you don't necessarily realize that until you compare it to other things. So you can know something's really good, but I think maybe you don't have an appreciation for how good it is until you or have a bit more distance from it. So with Blue Stinger, I again, this is one of my dad's a dad classic, if you will. So my dad was like, "Oh, I think this game looks cool. I think over here it had been kind of missold as like oh, this is a bit like Resident Evil, and obviously as soon as you fire it up, it's not in the slightest like Resident Evil. There's like neon everywhere and Christmas music blaring, and it's the silliest thing. So you know straight away it's not like Resident Evil, but for whatever reason, my dad got it and was like, let's play this. And I just remember being gripped from start to finish. I really liked, as a little kid, I didn't kind of notice the voice acting. Like as an adult, I really appreciate. Oh, it's Ryan Drummond. That's Sonic, and Doug Spowers is Dean Bristow. That's Robotnik, and Janine King is Lanny Minella, who plays Rouge the Bat. So like as an adult, I have the added thing of like, oh, I love all these voice actors. These are kind of did the various voices of my youth. But at the time, I was like, oh, it's just a really good, fun sci-fi adventure. It's got a lot of aesthetics that I like. The gameplay feels good. I like what's going on in the story. So at the time, it was just kind of another very good game during a time when I was playing a lot of very good games. But when I started to get a little bit older, I think when I look for a game now, not always, but sometimes I'm like, well, what is this game like? What could I compare it to? And there is, still to this day, I haven't found a game where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a bit like Blue Stinger, because there doesn't seem to be anything that is like that necessarily. So, if you play Dino Crisis, it's got the tank controls, and although the aesthetics are very different, you can be like, oh yeah, this is a little bit like if Resident Evil had dinosaurs in it. It's still a Capcom game. Likewise, you play Soul Calibur, you're like, oh, I guess it's a little bit like Virtua Fighter, but they've got swords. There's like, you can make parallels. Look at this. He just did like a spinning like roundhouse kick on this like mutated zombie thing. Have you ever seen anything like this? That kind of sci-fi aesthetic that it's got going on there, that's mirrored in some other games. So like Hybrid Heaven for the N64 had that kind of look. Extermination for the PS2, another one of my favorites, had that kind of look. Phantasy Star Online is all that kind of look, really. So the aesthetic in terms of like the futuristic sci-fi neon everywhere thing wasn't necessarily unique to it, but the way it all is put together with these like action movie cliches and these horror movie tropes, and it's just bonkers. I've just never seen anything else like it, but I love every moment of it, and I replay it at least once a year, every Christmas, usually more than once a year. I'm actually replaying it now at the minute because I have another video about it, believe it or not, that's going to be something totally different.
Excellent. And by the way, for people listening, go check out the video version because we're showcasing bits of Dom's videos, but obviously just go to Dom's channel and check the whole video out. But you get an idea of what his videos are like. This was one of the earliest ones, right? Look at Sonic. You're probably talking about the voice actors at this point.
That's exactly what I'm doing there.
Probably.
Wondering, why is he bringing up Rouge the Bat in the middle of the Blue Stinger video?
Yeah, but I actually, this is a big gap in my Sega knowledge, in my Sega education. I started playing this game maybe a couple of years, 3 years ago. But I was emulating it, and there was a glitch somewhere, and I couldn't get past that, and I dropped off. But I was enjoying myself. I was like, what the hell is this? Most of the time, but at the same time, I was really enjoying like the gameplay mechanics and stuff. And I was of the, I had the sense that people like said Blue Stinger is a bad game.
So it's
I don't think it is.
Hardcore following of me and Brian.
No, but I mean, I think it's not really a bad game. It's rough around the edges, as some Dreamcast games, and not just Dreamcast, but games of that era were. But it's really enjoyable. I was really enjoying it, and I was like, the story was gripping me. I was what's this? What's going to happen now?
It's a very mysterious story. I mean, it's not exactly high kind of high-minded philosophy or anything. It's a very like silly Jurassic Parky kind of action movie plot. But it's
Raw power.
talking about Dog's Power doing various martial arts things here by putting on different t-shirts. So, yeah. But it's not exactly a high-minded game. But I think the way the story is paced is really nice, and it's got this comforting kind of loop. I hate talking about video game loops, but it does have that where you like come back to the control room, see Janine, go, we've just done this, what should we do next? She's like, why don't you go over here and do this thing? And then, it's got that back into where you explore all over the island, and I don't know, I just find it very comforting.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I want to talk about something else, Dom. We're going to take a break soon, but
Sure.
I want to talk about this. So if people go to your channel, one of the things, and in more recent times, something that you started doing were these virtual tours. Right?
Yeah, so by the time this recording comes out, there will be some more of those because I'm working on them now. But yes,
excellent.
That is my current passion project.
I really like those. And that's part of that reverse engineering thing that you mentioned, right? That you learn how to do.
That's right, yeah. So you can't really see that on the ones that are there now, but by the time this is live, you'll be able to. So
okay, nice. What's the idea behind this? So obviously virtual tourism, right? But why? Why did you decide to go this route?
So I got to a weird not like a not a dip, kind of the opposite, where I felt like I had too many ideas.
Okay.
Because what I tend to do is I will think about a game I want to talk about, and then I'll go away and make a thumbnail because I have like this particular style that I like thumbnails to look. I'll be like, oh, okay, let's go and make some thumbnails. And I ended up with a folder of about 200 thumbnails. I was like, what am I going to say about all these games? I don't just want to keep doing game reviews because I like to switch it up. Sometimes I like to be, talking about a topic, or sometimes I like to be reviewing a game. But I found the thing that I most tend to do on any video is talk about how a game looks and the atmosphere, the aesthetic, the vibe of being in that game world. And I'd seen a channel, and I'd like to shout the channel out. Yeah, Skybox Eye, that's what the channel's called. I saw this channel, Skybox Eye, and it's still one of my favorite videos on YouTube, and it's like a 30-second loop of the beach stage on Virtua Fighter 3. And it's so calming because he's edited the characters out, he's edited the health bars out, so it's literally just Jeffrey McWild's stage, the desert island, not that one, that's the Sonic one, but it looks a lot like that with the palm trees and stuff. And I just loved that video, and I was like, do you know what, I bet you could do like lots of these types of shots and talk about the stylistic choices of the game and the different locales, and almost like you're watching a travel tour program. So like me and my wife watch a program called Race Across the World, where people are racing across the world, surprisingly. And one of the things I like in that, I generally don't like the people that are on it, they tend to be annoying, but I like seeing the different locations that they go to. So recently we just watched one where they were going like through like Japan and South Korea and Thailand and stuff, and it's all just like the off the beaten path stuff that I like. So I started thinking about off the beaten path stuff with games. So like when you talk to somebody about Sonic Adventure, they'll tend to think about Emerald Coast, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the big whale and stuff, and that is cool. But then nobody says, oh, what about when you're in the hot shelter with Amy Rose, and if you stop, there's like robot sharks in the aquarium spinning around, and probably because you're just racing past that because the game's so fast paced. I thought, it'd be cool to take some of those. Oh, I've just knocked my microphone off the table. Sorry, that's because I'm talking with my hands too much. It would be cool to take some of those games where you are going very, very fast. So like my first video there was Jet Set Radio, because you're generally on a timer skating around really fast. You don't get a lot of time to stop and smell the roses. So I thought, well, it'd be cool to get some of those games and like look at the world in a little bit more detail and look at some of the cool, the cool little touches, the attention to detail. That's one thing I like in a game, especially games of this era. is there's not a lot of asset reuse. A lot of the time, there will be there will be like a lot of unique assets, and some of them are like really, really cool and totally missable. So I'm working on another Sonic Adventure video at the minute for the virtual tour, and there's the level Lost World where you go inside the pyramid. There's a little area at the entrance there. I've never ever seen it before. Well, obviously I have, but you just run past it because you're playing a Sonic game. And obviously I'm playing it really slowly for this playthrough.
Yeah.
There's a little area where it's like a little fountain with like a snake head, spitting water into the fountain. And it looks really nice and tranquil. And I was like, oh, that'll probably come up later on in the level. I'm sure that's probably just like a generic asset. It's a unique asset. It appears that one time, and it's right at the start of the level when you'd normally be darting around really fast. And I was like, that's so cool. Why, you don't tend to see that with modern games, I think, because there's so much crunch and so much like employees having to do things on such an economy of time. There's not as much time for those little nuances. Obviously, you still see it in
less handcrafted stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
More computer generated. All of this was computer generated, but like there's some thoughts and like individual assets were really thought out.
Exactly. So like instead of just going, oh, I need a computer screen, I made one for this last area, I'll just slap the same one on, nobody will notice. I notice because I look for these things. So if you've made the effort to do a specific different display for this monitor than you had on the one over there, I'm the guy that will notice and appreciate that. And I understand that a lot of game devs do not have the time, money, or effort to do that. But I do appreciate it when I see it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And all these... let me just also mention the thumbnails. Really cool, by the way.
Thanks.
And people can get a feel for them here, right? This style is really cool. Really love what you're doing with these. But these virtual tours are really, really cool because like the attention to detail. We saw a little bit of Jet Set Radio before, and like people talking to each other on the background, like going about their lives. That's something that I associate with Shenmue, definitely.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Shenmue have people, we all know that NPCs all have their specific daily routines and stuff. But in those more like fast-paced games, like you said, we just zoom past them, don't give them any thought, and the attention to detail by the devs is really commendable. So it's nice that you're highlighting that. Right.
Like you say, I think with Shenmue, it's kind of that was the big selling point. Is like, look at this big living, breathing world, and obviously, Shenmue took it to a very different level than what other games were doing at the time. But there are games like Jet Set Radio that are a lot more arcadey that still have really cool little things you can find.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. And speaking of Shenmue, because we always have to talk a little bit about Shenmue on this show. So there we go. Here's a little bit of the Shenmue video called "Does Shenmue Still Slap?" Of course it does.
My conclusion was that it does, Casey.
Of course it does. Of course it does. What even is that question? What's the deal with that question? Yeah. But on that note, let's take a quick break, Dom. Okay. And we'll come back and return obviously. Come back and talk a little bit more about your channel and other things.
Sure thing.
However, this break, Dom, is also to tell you it's time. Do you know what it's time for?
I'm going to get the seal of approval.
Are you? Don't get ahead of yourself. It's time for the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for, and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
It's not that easy.
No, I probably won't, but I want it.
Oh my God. Okay, so I know you're a big SEGA fan. So instead, I thought let's do a Dreamcast challenge. I mean, it is mostly Dreamcast, but there's more than that here. Okay, so there's a little bit of everything. So it's the Ultimate Sega Fan Challenge that I usually do, with the different rounds, 10 rounds, different challenges. 2 points each. They're worth 2 points each. Some questions, some songs, and some other stuff. Okay. So the goal here is always to get at least 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
So half the questions or rounds correct. What do you think? Do you think you have what it takes?
I'm going to say yes. I'm quietly confident. I think my Dreamcast knowledge is good. I think my retro Sega knowledge is fairly good. I think my modern Sega knowledge is not very good. So if there's going to be a lot of questions on Like a Dragon and stuff, I'm going to struggle.
Sadly, no Like a Dragon. Should have thought of that, but no Like a Dragon this time. Okay, we'll see. I think you've got this. Yeah. So 10 rounds. Let's start with round number 1. Obviously.
Okay.
Round number 1 is a question, a fairly easy question, probably. So, full disclosure, we're recording this on the 23rd of June. And so, this is an appropriate question. What anniversary is Sonic the Hedgehog celebrating the week we're recording this episode? More specifically, today on June 23rd.
Sonic the Hedgehog is 34 years old today. It's the 34th anniversary.
No, shut up. I'm not that old. No, please. What's the deal with... No. Yes. Of course. 2 points. Well done. We started on an easy one, right?
I can work backwards and just get my age and think about when he came out, you know? So, spoiler alert, I'm a little bit older than that, sadly.
Yeah. I'm oh my God. I'm a little bit... Not a little bit more. Yeah. I'm 7 years older than Sonic. Let's put it like that. Depressing. Okay. So this is to give you a false sense of confidence here. We started off on an easy note. Let's go with round 2. Round 2 is our first song. And since I know you're a listener of this show, you know we only have 10-second long clips. So you only have 10 seconds to get the name of the game, just the game. You don't need to tell me where this plays. Okay, ready for the first one? Yeah? Okay, let's see.
I do know it. Is it Fantasy Star Online?
Wait, let's say that again, please. Now that the music's over.
Is it Fantasy Star Online?
I don't know. You're supposed to tell me. I'm here to ask you the questions. You have to be confident about your answer. Please. I don't know. Is it? Could be. That is indeed a game that has songs. So that checks. Yeah, that checks out.
This is torturous.
Good. So is that your answer? Your final answer?
Yeah. It's. I don't immediately place it as where it would be in that game, but I do feel like it is. I'm going to feel really bad if it's not.
Okay. So final answer, Phantasy Star Online. That is a very good guess. Very good guess. But it's wrong. No. It's Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future, the title screen.
Okay. So, full disclosure, that is like one of my favorite Dreamcast soundtracks as well, and that's why it sounded very familiar to me. Those are my two favorite Dreamcast soundtracks, probably PSO and Echo the Dolphin, but they're also quite similar because they have very spacey string arrangements and stuff.
Yeah.
If I had been able to eliminate in my head it being Phantasy Star Online, that probably would have been my second guess. But I feel bad because I use Echo the Dolphin music on my virtual tour as the title theme as well. So I do feel bad.
Okay, but it's okay. 2 points so far. So 2 out of 4, not bad. Not bad. Let's go with round 3. Round 3 is a question. And again, this is, I don't know what came over me today, but this is a very easy question, I feel.
Okay.
Okay. What was the code name initially used for Shenmue?
Oh. Now, hang on. The code name or the prototype name?
So there was a demo disc that came with Virtua Fighter 3 TB, I believe, in Japan, and it had like a code name.
Because I know the original working title for the story was something like the old man in the peach tree, and then I know it was originally going to be a Virtua Fighter RPG. So I want to say
So
it's going to be
think code
called...
name. Don't think title or whatever. Think code name. When they didn't want people to know exactly everything about the game, they wanted to showcase it anyway.
It wasn't called something like Project Akira because it was meant to be Akira originally, was it? I really don't know this code name. I don't know it. I know about the old man in the peach tree thing, but again, I know that's not the code name. I want to say it's going to be called something like Project Akira, but I'm sure I'm wrong. But that's my guess. I should know it.
But that's my guess. He says defeated. That's my guess. Okay, that's your guess. The correct answer, Dom, is Project Berkeley. Project Berkeley. Yes, Project Berkeley.
I have only today, at 36 years old, learned
Really?
that.
Okay, so that's what we're here for some Sega education. Project Berkeley.
I am being educated because you could probably ask me how much the tuna costs in the tomato mart. I could probably tell you, but I think it's 350 yen. But
I would assume that was a more difficult question. Okay, as you can see, that was Project Berkeley.
Yeah, I've honestly never seen that disc.
I believe this was released alongside Virtua Fighter 3 TB as like a bonus disc, only in Japan.
I was going to say only in Japan because I'm going to do... I can't do a Lewis, actually, because my game's downstairs. I was going to get my copy of Virtua Fighter 3 TB and go...
No, it's just... No, not here, not in the West. No, yeah.
I had it up here the other day because I was putting it into the PC to see if there was any wallpapers or anything on it because I found that there were on Play Commander, not on Virtua Fighter 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
that's something that also ages you. Yeah, tells people your age. When we got games and we put them into our PCs to see if there were any assets there. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is my laptop doesn't even have a disk drive. I bought a separate USB disk drive for this exact purpose, to extract stuff off my Dreamcast games.
Awesome. Yeah. So that was those were 2 points that you unfortunately didn't get.
I'm feeling sad, kid.
So 3 rounds done. Let's go with round number 4. It's another song. I think this one is easy. We'll see, but I don't know. I thought that last question was easy too. Well, we'll see. Take a listen.
Okay. That sounds like it's off a Sonic game. It sounds like it's off Sonic Adventure, but I've literally just been playing Sonic Adventure today, and I can't think of where it would appear. It's definitely not a stage theme. Sounds like it could be on a mini game or a menu. Could also equally be like basically any Sega racing game. That's a bit of a blind spot for me. I'm not very big on racing games. It's definitely not Metropolis Street Racer because I know that soundtrack. It's definitely not
great
Daytona.
Soundtrack.
That is a great soundtrack. It's definitely not Daytona because that one's another banger. I know that one well. But it does sound racery. And it does sound Sonic-y. And for that reason,
Should I play it again, just in case?
Yeah, go ahead. See if it sparks anything.
Okay.
I'm sticking it down as Sonic Adventure because it sounds racery, but it's not MSR and it's not Daytona because I know those soundtracks really well. It's got a little bit of that like Choo Choo Rocket quirkiness, but there's too much instrumentation for it to be Choo Choo Rocket. Some of the way those synth sounds are bouncing around is making me think of Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. So no buying underwear or getting it out tonight or anything. That's more of like Metropolis Tracer type stuff. So Sonic Adventure.
That's where I'm going with it, although I'm not confident. I'm not going to get the steel case.
So this is a Sonic track.
Okay.
Okay. So that's okay. So you're halfway there. Is it Sonic Adventure though? It's not. It's Sonic Generations. It's City Escape Act 1. It's the remix, the Cash remix of Escape from the City. Originally from Sonic Adventure 2, but the classic Sonic level.
Yeah.
The classic Sonic remix of that. So the very specific part of that song, because if I had picked another like 10-second long clip, it would probably have given it away too easily. So
yeah, the thing is with Sonic Generations is I only own the Shadow Generations version, which does have Sonic on it, but I've only played the Shadow part.
It's the best part.
Yeah, so I've not heard any of those remixes. But I was just like, oh, this sounds Sonic Adventure-y. Sonic Adventure 2 remixed into Generations.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I was on the right lines. At least I'm not going
for
crazy.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have 6 rounds left, and you need to score 8 more points. Okay.
So let's
get back into this with our special back of the box round. Okay. So I'm going to read the description, and you should know how this works. I went to the back of the box of a specific Sega game, and I'm going to read part of the description of that game. Okay. Redacted though. Okay. But I don't know if I redacted all the hints. Okay. So it reads, Redacted has struck once again, kidnapping a princess and trying to take over the kingdom. Redacted must use every ounce of his speed, agility, and cunning to restore order once again. Featuring a large cast of new and familiar characters and a blistering sense of speed, get ready for the most intense, high-velocity, Redacted yet.
Okay, so I'm really confused because most of that is pointing me towards Sonic again. We've got blistering speed. We've got a high cast of characters. Hang on a minute. Read it one more time.
Okay. Redacted has struck once again, kidnapping a princess and trying to take over the kingdom. Redacted must use every ounce of his speed, agility, and cunning to restore order once again. Featuring a large cast of new and familiar characters and a blistering sense of speed, get ready for the most intense, high-velocity Redacted yet.
Okay, I know you probably can't tell me this, but I'm going to say that's not a Dreamcast game. And here's my logic. It sounds a lot like Sonic. The only Sonic game I can think of where he's rescuing a princess is Princess Elise in Sonic 06. So I'm thinking it's saying Robotnik has struck again, capturing a princess. Sonic's got to come in and restore the sense of order. I would dispute it has a large cast of characters. You've got Sonic, Shadow, and Silver, but maybe that was marketing. I would also dispute it has a blistering sense of speed, but again, let us go with Sonic 06 for that one, because I feel like the combination of blistering speed and rescuing princesses, I don't see what else it could be. Mario never moves fast, and it would also be weird for Mario.
I was going to say, could be Mario 64 or something.
It would be weird for him to come up in a Sega quiz.
By the way, it doesn't say a large cast of new and familiar playable characters. It just says
Okay, yeah,
characters.
that is true.
So, just
Well,
saying.
I mean, if you're counting the people of Soliana, as memorable as they all are, then I
Sonic
suppose
Man is in
are.
there.
Yeah, Sonic Man is memorable.
Sonic Man is in there.
He's like a Yakuza style character. He is memorable.
Okay.
I'm going with Sonic 06.
Sonic 06, then. Okay. So the description, the unredacted description, now I've locked this in, so there's no turning back. It's Dr. Eggman has struck once again, kidnapping a princess and trying to take over the kingdom. Sonic must use every ounce of his speed, agility, and cunning to restore order once again. Featuring a large cast of new and familiar characters and a blistering sense of speed, get ready for the most intense, high-velocity Sonic adventure yet.
That's
Is
gotta
it
be
Sonic 06?
Right? It's gotta be. There's no other one with the princess, is there?
Yes. Yes, it is. 2 points. Well done. Well done. Yes. Okay, so back on track. 4 points. We need 6 more.
I can't believe that I whiffed on like Echo the Dolphin, one of my favorite soundtracks, but then Sonic 06 is what got me back.
Okay, let's get you back on track with another song. Okay, take a listen. See if you know this.
The Skies of Arcadia. The Skies of Arcadia.
That was too fast. Are you sure? You didn't want to think about this a little bit longer.
Oh, what is the like Aztec type community where you go to this lost city of Rixus, but it's the city. I can't remember what the city's called, but it's the treetop city with all the
Ishitaka, something like that, right?
I've never said it out loud.
Yeah, I don't know. I say Ishitaka, but it's probably Ixataka. I don't know. I have no idea. 2 points though. It's Skies of Arcadia. That's what matters. Okay, that's a nice comeback. We're 6 out of 10. So, okay, with 4 rounds to go. Okay. Next up, number 7 is a question. Okay. And the question is, in Headhunter, what is the name of the organization that main character Jack Wade works for?
Now, is it Layla? Because Layla is where he gets his training and where he gets his license from. It's Layla spelled Leila. I feel like that's gotta be it, because I can't off the top of my head think. I've literally started replaying Headhunter again recently. Again, I want to do a tour on that, and I just remember doing my first Layla tests on it. I want to say it is Layla. I'm gonna lock Layla in.
So, what's his job, Dom?
He's a headhunter.
Obviously, right? Obviously, if people didn't know, yeah. And he works for a specific organization.
Oh, he works for an agency of some sort, doesn't he? Layla's just the name of the training place, isn't
I'm
it?
not saying you're wrong. I'm just
okay.
Giving you facts here. It could be Layla.
I mean, that's where he goes to get his license. And when he goes to upgrade his license between missions, that's where he goes, and we do the VR missions, and it's really cool. And I can tell you, like, the name of some of the bad guys, like Grey Wolf and Ramirez and stuff. I can tell you various things about that game, but for some reason I cannot tell you if there is potentially another organization that he could work for, because that kind of like noun stuff goes in one ear and out the other with me. So like, I might be wrong, but I'm going to say Layla.
Okay. So I'm going to say yes. Jack Wade really does take part in those virtual reality tests. The Layla tests. That's true. Is that the name of the organization he works for? He's a headhunter for?
No.
It's not.
I knew it was like it's something agency or other. I'm sure, like it'll be some acronym, but I just can't.
It is. It's ACN.
Yeah.
Anti-crime network.
Okay, see, straight away, like, you said that, I know the ACN comes up in that game, because you've got the whole, like, Paul Verhoeven kind of silly RoboCop future. So I know that comes up, and I remember the, like, live-action news people talking about it, but I never really put that two and two together, as that's what he works for.
Yeah. He's an ACN headhunter. Yeah. Okay, so no points here. So let's go with our final 3 rounds. The next one is another song. Okay? It's the final song, the last song we have for you. So let's take a listen.
I absolutely do know it.
You should.
It's from a Sonic game, and it's... Play it one more time?
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Okay, so it's definitely a Sonic game in my head, because I can place it while I'm running along. So it's a speed stage, so it's either Sonic or Shadow. It's either Sonic Adventure 1 or 2. And it's got vaguely Egyptian-y sound somewhere in the instrumentation. So I want to say it might... I don't think it's part of the Lost World off the first game. I don't think it's part of the Lost World level. I think it might be one of the Egyptian speed stages on the second game. Either Sonic... Does Shadow go to those? I think it's just the Sonic one. I think that is from Sonic Adventure 2, and I will be... No, 100% not. It is not. It is Sonic Riders, and it is not Dark Desert. It is the daytime version of the desert. Yes.
What happened? What happened just now?
Because I was like, no, hang on, this is like from one of my absolute favorite things, and I don't want like Sonic Adventure 2 fans to come for me, but that's not one of my favorite games. There's no way it's going to be that. And I was like, no, Sonic Riders, that's one of my favorite games. It is that. It is Sonic Riders.
I want to make it perfectly clear for listeners that I didn't show like a sign saying, no, that's wrong, or something like that.
Yeah, please watch the video if you don't believe me.
I have no idea what just happened, because it was like this, like instantly he was like, Sonic Adventure 2, yes, for sure. No, it's not. It's Sonic Riders. What?
It was just because I was like, no, that track is off one of my like favorite Sonic games, and Sonic Adventure 2 is not one of those. And Sonic Riders is. And then I was like, well, what other like levels have desert-y, temple-y themes? I was like, oh yeah, the like desert level on Sonic Riders. Yeah, so there you go, desert track. So I'm confident that I'm right now.
Okay. So your answer is
Sonic Riders.
It's Sonic Adventure 2. No, it's not. It's Sonic Riders, yes.
Yeah.
It's the theme of Babylon Garden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is Babylon Garden, yeah. I was thinking the desert theme, but yeah, Garden.
Babylon Garden, yeah.
It's one that I've heard so many times, because that track is so difficult when you're doing the Grand Prix mode, that I've replayed it so many times. Or not the Grand Prix mode.
I knew you knew this one. You did a video on Sonic Riders as well, so
I love that
you had to know this one. Okay, so very close to blowing this, but you saved it in the end. So 2, 4, 6, 8 points. With 2 rounds to go, you only need 2 more. You only need 1 more correct answer. Okay. Will it be number 9, which is our final question? Number 10 is something different.
Okay.
Okay, so if you don't get this one right, I mean, question 9. In Blue Stinger, what organization does Elliot work for?
ESA. ESER. ESA.
Which stands for, by the way? Do you know that?
Emergency C and something rescue. I never quite got what both of these were for. There's definitely emergency, and there's definitely C, and there's definitely rescue. Emergency C, evacuation and rescue, maybe?
Exactly. Yes. 2 points. Yes, that's it.
And Casey, if you're thinking, how does he know that organization but not the Headhunter one? Elliot's got it on the back of his shirt, hasn't he? So I always see it.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's Blue Stinger, right? So, yeah, I knew.
Headhunter's one of my favorite games as well, though. I really love Headhunter.
So, yeah, good job. 10 points. You're off the hook. So
Hooray.
then this next one is for glory. For glory. And it's mixed bag. It's the final round. So what I do is I go to metacritic.com. I look for specific Sega or Sega adjacent games. In this case, it's a Sega game. I'll give you 3 hints, and then I'll read the redacted description, the redacted like blurb of the review. And you have to tell me the game. The hints are, it's a Dreamcast game reviewed by Game Revolution, who gave it a 91. So it's a pretty good game.
So they liked it.
Yeah, presumably. It's not a perfect game, though. Not 100. No. Okay. So this is the short blurb. The most enjoyable aspect of Redacted is the way the game flows. In Redacted, the story, as well as the ability to freely explore the map, move the game along at a brisk pace.
So we're freely exploring the map, so it's an open world or sandboxy type of game with a brisk pace. It's not Skies of Arcadia then, that's not very brisk at 50 hours or whatever it is. And it's not Sonic Adventure 2 because that doesn't have an open world. Could be Sonic Adventure 1. Could be freely exploring the map. I doubt they reviewed Rent a Hero back in them days. Well, that's me assuming it's a review from the time. It could be a modern review.
I believe it's that's actually a good point. I didn't check, but I believe it's from that time.
From the time, so it's probably unlikely to be a Japanese game like Rent a Hero. Exploring the map, and the main thing we like about it is, did you say the flow?
Yeah, the way the game flows.
The way the game flows. Which
the story, as well as the ability to freely explore the map, move the game along at a brisk pace.
See, it depends if they mean flow in terms of movement, because that's like Sonic Adventure's got good movement. Skies of Arcadia's got a good narrative flow. Echo the Dolphin, as much as I love the soundtrack, does not flow well. No,
Echo the Dolphin flows very well.
He flows.
He flows, yeah.
But he doesn't when I'm controlling him, because I cannot play that game for Toffee. What would again, Headhunter, you can explore freely and it flows well. Unlikely to be Phantasy Star Online, because you spend a lot of time grinding. I'm drawing a bit of a blank here. Well, I'm not.
You're not, clearly.
I'm drawing things that could be that I don't like. Okay, let's try and narrow it down. I don't think it's going to be an RPG, because I've decided arbitrarily that they're talking about movement flow rather than story flow. So we're writing out like Shenmue, Skies of Arcadia, Evolution 1 and 2, the various other Dreamcast RPGs. Let's say, I feel like I'm answering Sonic Adventure a lot, but I really do feel like this could be, because it has a good flow, you can explore freely, it's got a good story, arguably. I like the story. Let's go with Sonic Adventure.
I'm going to give you another hint. So this same game was reviewed by GamerWeb Sega.
Okay.
Who gave it 100, a perfect score.
Oh, they loved it. Okay.
And the blurb is, I was going to go with this one initially, but it doesn't really say much. One of those rare games that not only sucks you in, but pins you down and gives you noogies as time passes unmercifully.
I mean, that makes it sound like it's really hard then, the way they describe it. I don't know if that's what they mean, exactly.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
All
I
the
mean, based
other,
on
all the other, like descriptions would make it too easy to guess. I feel.
well, I mean, I'm thinking about games where you can explore the map and there's a story to follow. So, like, some of my favorite explory games are like Toy Commander, but the story is very minimal. There's not much of a story to follow there.
Mm-hmm.
Shenmue, I love, but I would not say is a flowy game. It's quite a intentionally slow paced game.
Mm-hmm.
The only game I can think of where I would say, oh, it's got a good flow, and it's you know fairly freely moving. I'm going to stick with Sonic Adventure.
Okay, that's a very good guess.
Okay.
Is it the right guess one? The right one, though. The right guess.
I have no idea. I'm curious to know what this is now. A game that's going to hold me down and give me noogies.
Okay. So I'm going to say it is not. No, it's
Okay.
not. But you mentioned
Hey.
the game. You
Okay,
mentioned the
so
game.
is it Shenmue?
It's not. It's the first one that you said it wasn't.
Toy
Skies of
Commander?
Arcadia.
Oh, Skies of Arcadia.
It's Skies
Okay,
of
yeah.
Arcadia. I like that how the most enjoyable aspect of this is the way the game flows. Okay, yeah, maybe, but it's not really a very descriptive description.
I don't even know if I agree with it. Like that game has a really, really good story, but
They say the story moves
they,
the
they,
game
men-
along, moves
they
the game
mentioned
along at a brisk pace.
Yeah, I was going to say they mentioned a brisk pace. I replayed that recently, and it clocked in over 50 hours. That's not brisk.
Hot Games, for example, says it may not have the emotional impact of some of Square's RPGs, but it does have likable characters, a huge amount of gameplay, an epic quest, and beautifully rendered environments and effects. I think with this one, you would get it immediately.
Yeah,
Probably. They gave it a 100, a perfect score as well.
I think it's definitely deserving of those high scores. It's an amazing game.
Definitely a very well reviewed game, very well liked game as well. That means no 12 points, but 10 points. So that means you get the official SEGA Lounge seal of approval.
Hey.
Yes, well done. Very good, very good. Which I will send to you, by the way.
Thank
It
you.
is a real thing. Yeah. Okay.
I've heard you say that on every episode when someone wins it, and I'm always like, is this a bit? Is he joking about it being a real thing?
It is a real thing. It truly is a real thing. Yes. Check out social media. People sometimes post their seals of approval. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't want to keep you very long, but I just want to mention or like ask a little bit more about your channel. So you said you were like working on some videos that some of them will be available when people are listen to this, right? When this episode goes live. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that without spoiling too much?
Do you want me to give you a clue for the game?
Ooh. Oh, wait. Let's like focus on that. There we go. Oh, and so yes, listeners, that's your clue.
Yeah. So whatever you've just heard there, listeners, that's the clue. Well, don't tell them.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't. No, the clue was the like silence. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm carrying on the virtual tour series. I got those two starter ones done, Jet Set Radio and Skies of Arcadia, and I thought, oh, I'll release these in quick succession, and I bet you I'll have more to follow on. And then there's kind of been a big gap where life got in the way, but I've got a little bit of time this week to do some recording. So I'm hoping to have a couple more out. I won't necessarily say what they're all going to be because I'm not quite sure what order I'm going to put them out in, but definitely I'm aiming for the date when I know this won't go live. I won't say that just in case it changes. But the date that I believe this is going to be live, the Virtua Fighter 3 video will be live, and I think that's I think that's interesting because Virtua Fighter 3 is maybe not something that people think of as an aesthetic triumph, but I'm going to be doing a video all about the visuals and the locations.
Excellent. So that's something to look forward to, and people can probably already check it out on the day that this goes live. So go check out Dreamcast Enjoyer's channel and watch that. I would say so. One thing that I like about your channel as well, and I can just quickly show it here, is you obviously focus on the Dreamcast and like Dreamcast related games as well, but you also have a certain variety here. You for example, you covered Chants of Sonar, which is a game that's been on my Steam wish list for a very long time. Haven't really bought it because there's a lot of stuff to play.
Of course.
So like you said at first, it's not just like about the Dreamcast, not exactly just about specific games, but the vibes, right? The feel of the games. So you cover certain more modern games as well, ones that give you, like you said, big Dreamcast energy.
So that was kind of a little series I was trying to do. I'm not really doing more like that, but I played a few games in quick succession that all gave me a Dreamcasty kind of a vibe. So I kind of half had this idea to do a series. It only turned out being something like 3 or 4 videos, but I still stand by all those as recommendations. That if you like Dreamcast and you kind of wish more things had that vibe, those games. Like Chants of Sonar absolutely feels like something that could have been on the Dreamcast. It's for people don't know that game, it's a really cool sort of cell shaded kind of puzzly adventure RPG type of a game. It's all about like you're a little wanderer in this land that's been split up into all these different societies, and they all speak their own languages, and you have to learn all of the languages because they're all kind of like at war with each other or harming each other in different ways. And you've kind of got to learn all of the languages to help them to understand each other and come together, which is pretty wholesome. And the thing that it reminds me of the most, and this is going to be a really weird pull, is what's the Ruichi Sakamoto game with the little guy? Lack of Love. You played Lack of Love? So you know how that's like a weird adventure-y puzzle game where your goal isn't exactly spelled out. You have to mosey around in this world and speak to, unusual creatures and characters that you've met and find ways to like help them. This gave me a really similar vibe to that, and had that kind of hopeful Y2K turn of the century, like if we all just talk to each other, the world would be a better place kind of a vibe to it. But also, aesthetically, I think if you have a look at it, the kind of very simplistic flat cell shading, it's got a lot of that, the French artist Mobius. It's got a lot of that kind of vibe to it, which is kind of you can see influences of him in like Panzer Dragoon, stuff like that. So it's got a little bit of that kind of a vibe to it. So it really does feel like if someone just showed me this with absolutely no context and said, "Oh, this is like it was a Japan-only Dreamcast game that's recently been translated," I'd go, "Oh, yeah, okay, probably is." It has the vibes to me.
Also reminds me a little bit of Journey, which is not a Dreamcast game, obviously, but like the visuals and
the visuals are very
Journey
and
stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games of all time.
I haven't actually played it, but I have played Abzu, which is the version, the like better version of Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, haven't played. I have it. I bought it on a certain platform. I can't remember which one, but I haven't played it yet.
But I need to buy Journey, and you need to buy Abzu. Then.
Yeah, no, I have bought Abzu. I just need to play it. Journey is one of my favorite games of all time. I can't stress this enough. It's like there's no dialogue. It's very emotional, and it's hard to explain how, because it's a fairly short game. It's really beautiful. There's no dialogue, but there's co-op play, if you will, because if other people are playing with online turned on, you can collaborate, you can appear on each other's games and give hints and like, but the hints are just you can just like communicate with like a little bit like echolocation, like sonar.
Yeah.
That's what you do, like blah, 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 some certain like blips and bloops, and you can try to help other players and guide them into what they need to do. But other than that, there's no dialogue, there's no conversation, there are no hints, and the story just progresses as you uncover these little puzzles and understand what you need to do to progress.
I like the sound of that.
It's a very, very cool game. It's not a Sega game, but it's in a way it feels like it is with the whole experimentation that I feel they were going for. This is like an experiment, and it really turned out really cool. Yeah,
I think that's one of the things I think about with Sega. Maybe not so much nowadays because they do play it a little bit more safely, but the Sega that I always think about, that late 90s, early 2000s, very innovative, very kind of just throwing lots of ideas in. So I do love it when you see these kind of smaller studios taking a chance and doing these kind of things now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that brings me to my next question as we wrap up things here, Dom. You obviously are all about the retro side of things more than the modern one. Is there anything recent or future that Sega has put out or is about to that has gotten you excited?
Yeah, so I mean, there are some upcoming kind of Sega projects that I'm very interested in. I think we spoke on the Jet Set Radio episode that I'm not super hyped about that because I don't like the way it looks, but I'll definitely play it because it's Jet Set Radio. I'm hoping to be proven wrong, but not super excited. But the Shinobi game by Lizard Cube looks amazing, and the work on Streets of Rage 4 gives me absolute faith. And Dragon's Trap, Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap, like I love those games. I'm absolutely confident. I love most Shinobi games. There's like maybe one or two I don't like whatever the arcade one was, Shadow Dancer. I don't think it's very good, but I love most of the Shinobi games. And that one looks like everything you'd hope for in a classic Shinobi, but with that kind of really cool, chunky, cel-shady Lizard Cube vibe to it. I love the way that looks. And also Virtua Fighter 6, obviously. I don't know if it's going to be called Virtua Fighter 6.
New Virtua Fighter project, I think.
Yeah. Whatever that goes on to be called. Because I actually posted out today. I was trying to think about franchises that have been consistently just banger after banger. And when I sat down, it was really, really hard. So I put this post out asking people to tell me what they thought were like great franchises that had never missed. Because I was thinking, some of my favorite franchises, Phantasy Star, it has some bad games in the series. Sonic, some bad games in the series. Resident Evil, some bad games in the series, so on and so on. And so the franchises that I narrowed it down to were Virtua Fighter, Panzer Dragoon, Shining Force, and Kingsfield. Not a Sega game, but I love Kingsfield. But I was just thinking about Virtua Fighter because some of my other all-time favorite fighting games are like Soul Calibur, but then I don't like later Soul Calibur games. Dead or Alive 2. I don't know if Dead or Alive's ever... Oh, Dead or Alive 6, yeah, has had a bad game. but Virtua Fighter, I was thinking every single one, even Virtua Quest, which is a spin-off that has very little to do with it, I still liked. I was just thinking that's a franchise that's never missed, so I don't think it will on the new one. I'm expecting to be delighted with whatever they do.
Yeah, and the time they take to make a new one, they better like bring out a great game, right? Virtua Fighter 5 is how old at this point?
Is it 15 years old, or is it older maybe?
I think it's at least 15.
It's definitely at least 15. I'm trying to think when the very first iteration of it came out, because I think
the first thing that came to mind was 15. The number that came to mind immediately was 15, but I'm not sure. 2006. No, wait,
Yeah.
19.
Yeah. So was that when it was in arcades? Because I
That is
think
probably the one on arcades. Let's just check. Let's check the world's most trustworthy website, Wikipedia. Arcade. Yes,
Yeah.
arcade. July 12th. So 2007 on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. Yeah. So
then did it get some kind of update in 2010? Because I feel like that's when I picked it up, or that might just be I just happened to pick it up then.
yeah, there were some versions. This one doesn't. This just mentions. So there was Final Showdown, which was
Yeah,
released on arcades in November 2009. Final Showdown, version A 2010. So probably I can't
maybe that.
remember when. Oh, Final Showdown was released on consoles 2012, apparently.
Okay, so
So
maybe
probably
I've
around
picked
that.
that up and rounded it down to 2010.
Yeah,
But
probably
yeah,
Final Showdown.
and
And then Ultimate Showdown 2021, which
yeah, that's
is
the one I've currently been playing a lot.
and the version that I actually played, because I said this a few times on the show before, but this brings back a lot of good memories, even though it was during COVID, because there was a whole community event around this. We all got codes from Sega. Shout out to Danny Russell. Great guy, great community manager. And he, like all the websites, got codes, and we all played this for a while. There was like a whole community thing when the game launched. So, and
That's
I really
awesome.
enjoyed
Well,
this. I'm crap at it, but yeah.
I wasn't like on the scene doing anything at that time, so I certainly didn't get a code. I just bought it. But if anybody from Sega is listening and wants to give me a code for any Virtua Fighter 6 stuff that comes out, be more than happy to review it.
Yeah. I'll definitely get the console version of Revo when it comes out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
same.
definitely
Even though
planning on that.
I don't think there's many changes or tweaks, but I just want to support that franchise. I love it so much.
Sure. No, and I think for people who are really competitive players, the way online works, that's like something that is very much improved. And there's crossplay, so you can play with people playing on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. So nice. I'll probably get it on Switch just to see how it runs and to have it on the go. So yeah. Okay, so good answer. Quite a tangent here about Virtua Fighter, but yeah. You're definitely excited about the new Virtua Fighter project, whatever that is. Do you think they're gonna go? They're gonna like name it New Virtua Fighter?
I think they might change the name just because it seems like, and especially with the Ryugo Gotaku studio being attached to it now, all of the trailers with like Akira having the new look and kind of wandering around in a world environment, it seems like it might go a little bit more that like Street Fighter 6 World Tour kind of mode. I'm hoping they maybe do something like that with it. I mean, I won't be disappointed if they don't, because they've never, this Virtua Fighter games have never really been about a narrative. The closest kind of thing you had was Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, where you had that mode where you're going around all the different arcades in Japan, which was a great mode. But they've never kind of been about that. But I do think the presentation looks very, very different. So I do wonder if they might give it an updated name.
It's like kind of a reboot of sorts. Right?
Yeah, it seems like it might be a little bit of a reboot, maybe. Yeah. So
because if they were gonna name it Virtua Fighter 6, they would announce it. They would have announced it as Virtua Fighter 6. I feel
like whereas they've been a little bit cagey on exactly what it's called. But that's a huge one I'm excited about. The Shinobi Art of Vengeance I'm very excited about. The kind of other legacy things that they've announced, so Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe. Obviously those are all franchises I love. I don't necessarily love what I've seen of the reboot or however they're planning on continuing those, but it's very early days. Whatever we've seen has just been like alpha build footage. I'm not going to make my opinion off that. I'll certainly check them out. But the ones where I'm immediately kind of like, yep, I'm getting it day one. New Virtua Fighter and the new Shinobi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Totally get it. Yeah, definitely very excited for Shinobi myself. I know it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like 99.9% sure. I would go as far as 100, but I don't know. You never know. You never really know. But I have full confidence on Lizard Cube. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them going wrong with it. Not at all.
Nah. Okay, so Dom, thank you very much for coming. It was a
Thank you for having
delight
me.
to have you on the show. So would you like to take this time to tell people to go watch your videos?
Yeah, sure. So
What's your like elevator pitch?
my elevator pitch, I suppose, is if you like 5th and 6th gen games, especially the Dreamcast, and especially stuff that's maybe a little bit more janky or B tier or lesser known, I talk about a lot of that, and with a heavy focus on the aesthetics, the visuals. I don't often talk very much about the gameplay or the history or the making of things. I'm more about like, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like to exist in that world? That's kind of what interests me. So if that sounds good to you, Dreamcast Enjoyer on YouTube, come and have a look.
Definitely. I like that. Yeah. I can get behind that. Yeah. Go check it out. Where else can people find you? Obviously YouTube, but where else can people find you?
I just have a Blue Sky, which I think is just / Dreamcast Enjoyer. Let me just do a slight check in the other browser.
DC Enjoyer.
DC Enjoyer. Maybe I couldn't fit Dreamcast on there.
Sky.social.
Yeah, I used to have other social medias than that, but I do not enjoy it. So it's just that one for me these days.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. So go follow Dreamcast Enjoyer on Blue Sky. Yeah. As for myself, the SEGA Lounge on all the usual places. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this very lovely conversation. Dom, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
You need to come back to talk about one of those like more obscure games one of these days. Well, we'll definitely
anytime you want to hit me up to talk about some weird beta Dreamcast game, I'm your man.
we should do a Blue Stinger episode one of these days, because it's like
Blue Stinger,
it's celebrating
any of this stuff.
Blue Stinger turns what, 26 years old this year or something?
Yeah,
probably
it came out in 99. So yeah,
okay, so yeah,
26. Yeah.
We're more than overdue an episode on Blue Stinger. I need to play through it, definitely. Take some time, sit down and play Blue Stinger, and then I'll call you back so we can have a chat about Blue Stinger.
I think me and Brian are gradually on a mission to make every Sega podcast host play this game, because we recently made Lewis play it for the Dreamcast Junkyard, and I remember we were all in a group chat, and I remember I was like cooking tea, and Lewis just texted me and went, "What is going on?" I just walked down a corridor, there was a dead body, and I picked it up. There was a hamburger on it, and then Elliot went, "Yeah," and I was like, "That's Blue Stinger, man." So we had this very funny Lewis experiencing it for the first time in this group chat. So throughout my working day, I'd occasionally check my phone and it'd be like, "What is going on?" So I look forward to receiving similar messages from you when you're doing it.
I'll definitely do it. We'll definitely do a special episode on Blue Stinger. We're gonna convert everyone into major Blue Stinger fans.
Absolutely.
This Christmas, the whole world will be playing Blue Stinger again. That's
the goal.
That's the goal. Dom, thank you very much. So as for everyone else, thank you very much for watching or listening to the show. We'll be back next week with another interview, actually. We're on a roll now with some very cool interviews. So do check us out next time. Until then, have a great week. Thank you for checking us out on our socials. And if you're watching the video or not, just subscribe to the YouTube channel and go subscribe to the Dreamcast Enjoyer channel as well while you're there, and enjoy some awesome Dreamcast vibes. Big Dreamcast energy. See you next week. Bye-bye. The SEGA Lounge, hosted by me, KC, a Mixon Productions podcast and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Find us at thesegalounge.com on Blue Sky. Check out our YouTube channel for our video content and follow us on Twitch to join our Let's Play sessions and live episodes. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com, on the TerraPlayer app, and wherever you listen to podcasts.